Hello guys, welcome. We're going to go ahead and actually get into a very cool game. We're going to be watching Incredible Miracles Nestea. He is the red Zerg in the bottom right. He's going up against ZeNexYong. He is the blue Protoss in the bottom left. He does show up as a bunch of Korean symbols that I cannot read, but this game was given to me by a friend of mine, Bisu Tenshi, on the North American server. So just big props to him. He assured me this was ZeNexYong, and I'm going to believe him because he's a trustworthy fellow. Now, this is Tal'Darim Alter LE. It did take place on the Korean ladder. We do have the destructible rocks that are there at that third base. And we're going to go ahead and just talk about PvZ on the map for a second. First thing that I want to note is that Yong is putting down his pylon in this weird spot, and I say it's weird because this is going to make it almost impossible to wall off against the possibility of a 6 pool that if Nestea did decide to do, could possibly be able to win outright for Yong, because it would make it almost impossible for the wall to be completed in time, simply because you can't really, you'd have to use multiple pylons in this spot in order to wall this off. So this is kind of risky by Yong, but he's probably assuming Nestea is not going to 6 pool, which is not good. One of the reasons why Idra, for example, has 6-pooled a couple times is just because people can metagame against him, play against him accordingly by assuming he will macro. So Nestea does go for 14 hatch, which means Yong does not really have anything, 14 pool I mean, so Yong doesn't have to worry about anything super fast. He might even try and get his Nexus down first if he feels confident in that timing. You can see that his money is crawling up, as I meant to say, is crawling up closer and closer to 400, and it looks like his probe is going to be there and possibly Nexus, yes, so we will be having that Nexus first coming out of Yong, which would be great because Nestea doesn't even have 300 minerals yet, and he's actually dealing with this probe. The probe that is not going to be able to block off the hatchery in terms of beyond, and not going to be able to block it past the 300 mineral mark, which is fine. He didn't choose to throw down a pylon or anything. He may just feel like it's not worth it. Plus, it's already well enough ahead with getting the Nexus down and the forge. I believe that was either a 15 or a 16 Nexus, which is good. I think a 17 Nexus is a little bit too late, though that is a very good timing if you're going to be able to get off a Nexus first. If you get that 17, that's great. Great balance of probes, great balance of timings on these buildings. So we will be seeing the cannon going down, and a pylon's probably going to be thrown down. It looks like the probe will stay outside, have the possibility to run around. And speaking of probes running around, this probe could easily go ahead and start hiding in these areas and force Nestea to try and find him. I think Nestea actually will be able to see the probe. He's going to go ahead and scout. Oh, this is a great scouting pattern. This is a very, very vulnerable spot for Protoss, is to put down a pylon and be able to both scout for the third and use it as a proxy pylon later on. But here we do have Yong losing this. I think he was actually trying to use these as line of sight blockers in order to hide the Zergling as it naturally went over to this area, which is kind of tricky, and I do appreciate that. But over here might have been a better spot if he wants to go in this area. And we do have an incredibly fast third from Nestea before the 5-minute mark. I do like this. Greedy play is so much fun to see, especially when it pans out, and sometimes it's especially interesting to see how it's going to get crushed. So here we have the massive probe transfer as the Nexus is completed. This hatchery is completed as well. Looks like the drone count is increasing steadily. 3 are in production, and a very fast +1s coming out from Yong. He might want to actually pump out a few zealots, do a little bit of pressure because of the fact that this third's going down. Now that he sees it, I'm wondering how he's going to react. He could theoretically use cannons, but he's got to be careful that the queen doesn't see him. Was Nestea looking at the mini-map? Looks like maybe not. His lings are not running around and being aggressive. But now, if this ling doesn't attack this probe, I'm going to be a little bit surprised. But it seems that Yong may just skirt right. Nope, there we go. However, with the cannon up, the probe's going to have not any trouble at all. Possibly even killing the... Never mind, Nestea's got the reaction in ease to just pull back the ling and not even lose it. And there we do have the Zealots getting chrono boosted out with the +1. They're going to be dangerous. If we look around where Nestea is, he is throwing down the Roach Warren, so Zealots will not exactly be the perfect counter to everything he's going to have. However, there are no spines up, So there could be a little vulnerability in terms of aggression, and Nestea is still droning up a lot. If we look at the income, we can see it's definitely in his favor. The fact that he has so many drones and is so far ahead of Yong, even with Yong going for the Nexus first, is incredibly powerful, but it seems that Yong's going for this on purpose. He's going to go for a very interesting 4-gate timing attack, I believe, with that +1. The warp gate, if it gets chronoed out a little bit more, it'll have a very nice time with these gateways, and he can do a sort of delayed 4-gate, but with this incredibly fast third that Nestea has gone for, and the lack of spines, just the lack of units in general, Nestea could take a lot of damage. This is a very intriguing timing attack. Now the +1 attack is done, and there's no way that Zerg can have upgrades now, but roaches are now being produced. We can see they are there. This gas is being taken with the 2 in the main mining. Nestea's income in terms of gas is going to allow for pretty much continuous production from those larvae. And if we take a look at this, Nestea's fully aware of that proxy pollen. He knows some kind of aggression is out, and here we have 4 zealots coming in. It looks like it's still just those 4 gates that Yong's going to be using, as he's going to push in, and now he's going to start being vulnerable. He's on the creep. The zealots are there. They do have the +1 though, as they're going to continue being aggressive. They might try and take out the queen, forcing a lot of mining time to be lost. Here comes Lings, there is roaches, and it seems that Yong is going to get this taken out without too much difficulty from Nestea. He is losing a few drones, so at the end of the day, only 3 drones were killed. And if we take a look at the worker count now, it's 44 to 45. Looks like there's been a nice bit of delaying in terms of the production of those drones, but more importantly, this is going to allow for a very interesting follow-up. 2 Stargates out from Yong, and he's got almost half, just a little bit over half the food of Nestea, which could be very bad, especially if Nestea can actually capitalize on his 7 drones that he's making now to skyrocket in terms of the drone count. Macro hatch is going down, Evo Chambers there, getting a layered tech. It looks like he could be in a very good position, but double Void Rays are coming out. This could be really bad. Spores can be produced now. We do have a spine, not a spore. And Nestea's got to be wary. With only 4 gates attacking, DTs are a very possible tech follow-up, as well as the heavy Stargate play. So the Spore Crawlers should be just a default build from Nestea's point of view. So now, running around over here, taking a look at what's going on, we do see just, there's the Spore for this base, very nice, but Void Rays are very powerful, and it's going to continue being more Voids being made by Yong. He's going for a heavy airplay. With the Lair Tech being out for Nestea, he's going for Burrow. He's got Roach Speed on the way, and he's getting missile attacks. Looks like he's really going to be, using heavy roaches, and Spire Tech gets thrown down. This could be perfect. Unfortunately, Phoenix is only just now being started by Yong before Void Rays. Void Rays do not do very well against mutas, so if this aggression continues to happen, and with the very fair warning Nestea has, he should be throwing down Spore Crawlers, and he should be getting a Hydra Den as well, Evo Chamber, and Spire, and Hydra Den is there. So you should be able to get Hydras out at some point. It's not exactly the longest build time to get Hydras out. Now we're going to have the Spore Crawler fall. Looks like this Void Ray did not successfully get out of the range, but it still didn't take that much damage, and now we're going to start seeing some heavy harassment. There is target firing of the spores as they build. Looks like it will not be cancelled. He is target firing them down individually. These overlords are very vulnerable, and these voids are an issue right now. We have 7 Hydras on the way, but these are fully charged voids with Phoenix reinforcements coming in. It's going to be very difficult for Nestea to really be able to fend off efficiently. Just need a very large count of Hydras, because Hydras will fall to these Phoenixes very quickly. If Nestea can focus down the Phoenixes and then hit the Dwarves, he'll be okay, as Nestea looks like he tried to do a little bit of push in the front, but not much damage was able to be done. He will continue that aggression, as these Void Rays are going to continue being, oh god, they're vulnerable now, but there's the liftoffs on those Hydras. Only 2 Void Rays are left, as these guys are continue taking losses, and it seems that Nestea made just the right amount of Hydras and pushed at just the right time in order to know when he could actually successfully take out those forces. But now he's supply blocked. Yong has taken down this hatchery, and His food count is very, very close to Nestea, but Nestea has taken down the huge investment of those air forces, but now we have a large gateway force going to move down there. They're going to need some good force fields to take down these roaches, because the roaches could easily focus down those sentries, and now zealots are in the fray, and this is going to be pushing Yong right back. And these stalkers are taking losses. Now you have the phoenixes returning. There are no hydras here, so these guys are going to take lots of losses. Nestea is going to also take down some of those warping in stalkers. It seems they are going to fall. The roaches are going to fall. So Yong does manage to actually push out a little bit, but he needs a third base. This is very late for a third base for Toss. It's almost 15 minutes on Tal'Darim Altar. Luckily for him, though, Nestea is on his pretty much 2 base, as this base is gone. So it's not exactly a horrible thing that this expo is late. It's just a different pace of the game in this particular setting. So now Hydras are present, and they're going to be great. If there's no Templar Tech or Robotech coming out soon, then a push from Nestea involving lots of Hydras could be devastating. But the Robo is out, and we do have the Robo Bay in production. If Nestea can hit in the next minute or two, it could be a very vulnerable time for Yong. And we see Nestea's macro is definitely getting up there. Lots of Hydras are in play. So now, Nestea's been able to keep this base up alive very, very well. You can see the income is more or less even. Now that this base, once this base comes up, though, it's going to be skyrocketing in Nestea's favor just because of the increased saturation he'll be able to have, and not needing to distance mine from the natural to the main. But this heavy Phoenix count is going to move in and decrease this drone count to a rather significant degree. Take a look at all those drone losses being taken, but the Spores and the Hydras doing a nice job of taking away that issue. And Nestea is still getting the attack upgrades for the air. That's actually something that I don't think many people have realized is a great idea. But if you are going to be having the possible need to switch into Colossi, or possibly doing a late muta switch, having the air attack upgrades already in place will increase your strength exponentially. So it's a great plan for the future by Nestea. And here we have this third base getting finished, really, but there's no cannons, no really defense, no Sim City. Ling Rumbites are a very huge vulnerability in this spot for Protoss. So if he's able to wall this off with gates or something, get some few cannons behind it, it'll be a very smart move. Unfortunately, with Hydras, it could be seen as a vulnerability as well, because Hydras can just siege them and kill those buildings for free. But with the Robo transition coming in and Extended Thermal Lance almost done, Colossi could do a big bit to actually make sure that he doesn't take too much damage in the event of a Hydra siege. And it seems that, wow, some Phoenixes barely escape with their lives there, so nice job with the Yong, good reaction speed. And we do see fourth going down for Nestea. There's the cannons too. So here come the cannons to help defend this third. It looks like Yong's aware of that vulnerability, and he could move forward, but that could be a little risky. The Hydras are very close behind, but they do move slowly. Off creep, Nestea could probably lose a roach or two to those Phoenixes if they just lift off one and then run away the second it gets killed. But these Zealots are here, Stalkers are present. It looks like pylons are being thrown down. Make sure there's not an Artosis pylon, which I still feel guilty about every time I say it, but that's okay. A single Corruptor is on the field, +2 air attacks actually being upgraded. Nestea's upgrades are looking amazing right now at 2-1. Looking at Yong, he's only at 1-1. So you actually have a Protoss behind in the upgrades. That is rather unconventional. Nestea's going to try and possibly pick off a Phoenix or two. He's going to move forward. Very powerful army. There are some sentries in this battle, but it's not going to be very easily taken care of, because they're all behind there. The Zealots aren't even in the front, not able to attack. This is a great attack position from Nestea, but the Colossi are a huge vulnerability. Phoenixes are still alive, taking down a lot of those Corruptors, as these guys are going to get locked in with some force fields. The Zealots being so idle, though, is really hurting Yong. Nestea is pushing forward with a large count of Hydras, but with only Hydras and 2 Colossi still alive, this is no longer a good play by Nestea. But he's done not good. It's good play, but it's no longer a beneficial battle, as he is losing more than he was gaining in those last little bits. But it's very hard for him to retreat, because Stalkers and Colossi, they're going to kill those Hydras. Few people realize that Colossi off creep can actually kite Hydralisks. So in terms of retreating wasn't a possibility. But Nestea did a lot of damage, and he's able to macro a lot more. But he didn't take another base. And speaking of other bases, we have Yong going to go ahead and scouting, trying to find any more bases from Nestea. But after that battle, the income is definitely in favor of Nestea. He's now up to 79 drones. Caesar had to have a push out from our goodly friendly neighborhood ZeNexYong with Blink about to complete. That will be a very nice addition. If it was just naked stalkers, they'd be a lot more vulnerable. With Blink, they'll be able to take down any vulnerable stray units, be able to chase down this army after it does a lot of damage, because this is looking like a very nice concave coming from Yong, while Nestea is actually in a much worse position. But there's a forward Blink by a few of those stalkers. They will take some losses, but this is definitely a good battle for Yong. He's doing a lot of damage. Reinforcements getting taken out. Those corruptors are going to be a huge vulnerability, but it seems that Yong might not push the front. I don't see an observer with his armory actually, so he can't even shut down the creep. There's not a single observer on the field. Very, very odd, but looks like the purpose of this attack was to get down this fourth base in a very interesting position. And I don't think that Nestea is aware of the minimap. No, Nestea is not aware of that base. So very forward expansion coming from Yong, and he's now actually even basically with Nestea to have a little bit of running around with these phoenixes. They're going to take actually one's probably going to die to the spore crawler. Yeah, there we go, that does fall. Spire is proving to be useful at getting the corruptors out, but no mutas or anything quite yet, and a large count of hydras for this army from Nestea, which is good. He's taken down the colossi, so he doesn't have to worry about having large amounts of colossi, and it seems that Yong is staying on one robo. He's not adding another one, so he doesn't have to, he being Nestea doesn't have to really get a ton of corruptors. He can emphasize hydras now if he's attacking constantly and keeping the colossus count down. The big issue are these immortals that are out. Wait, there is a second robo? Where is it? There's a okay, there is two robos out. I just looked at the oppression tab and only saw one. So now we are going to see double colossus being produced, and this is going to start getting bad. Nestea is emphasizing heavily the Roach Hydra, and we're seeing a whole lot of immortals and colossi. This is the hard counter army to army composition. If they're both maxed, ZeNexYong will be able to decimate Nestea. Nestea is just now getting down his fifth base, so he's working on taking his entire half of the map, while ZeNexYong is trying to be content in his little corner area. A few cannons are out. Heavy stalker count. If you look at the forge in its production, we do see the +3 is getting closer and closer to being done, as Nestea over here has got 2-2, and his hive tech is actually complete, and his greater spire is almost done. So he's have a very logical transition into going from the corruptors to the broodlords, which could actually be perfect. Ultralists are very bad against the army composition with the heavy immoral count, the heavy colossus count. Stalkers being able to blink, creating a concave, and making sure as little splash happens as possible. Broodlords are the very logical transition here. And now we're going to see a little bit of an attack, but Nestea was on hold position. Now he's going to take a whole bunch of losses. Oh god, that was not a good battle for him. Yong could theoretically blink forward and try and get another attack. He'd even blink into a concave as he's going to continue pushing. We do see a very large count. Oh no, the colossi are moving forward, and they all get fungled. And now these stalkers are vulnerable. They're on creep. Infestors are getting taken out as these armies moving forward. Looks like they're going to blink forward, take out a bunch of overlords. Actually going to supply block Nestea. And look at the broodlords directly under the broodlords. He's getting taken out. Spine crawlers are finishing, and they're going to die the instant they finish, blinking back a bunch of those stalkers, leaving the hurt ones in the front. But this is such a nice army composition. I don't know if Nestea can really do much against this. He's trying to just hole in, but Yong now is a 30 food lead count, and it's just getting larger and larger and larger. Nestea is reinforcing with roaches, a couple of broodlords and infestors, but this army composition is perfect, and it looks like the observer may actually fall once again. So no more death to creep, and burrowing will actually now be effective, but this infestation pick going down is a very, very big deal. Infestors with fungal is going to be incredibly important, but no, Yong was just going to take a victory, a very nice macro victory. I was kind of worried about him in the early game when it actually became time for him to really deal with the fact that Nestea just had so much in terms of macro and lead, but taking out that natural expansion was huge. So good job by Yong, great map presence by him, moving around. I don't think Nestea actually ever found out about the fact that the bottom middle base was taken by Yong, and that was a pretty big factor. If Yong stayed on 3 bases, Nestea would have been content with his what would have been 5, because then it's a 2-base lead. His economy should be good enough, and that would have been a great job in just combating what Yong was going for. One thing that might have been good for Nestea could have been a Muta switch. Yong did not have a whole lot of infrastructure to defend against Mutas. He had Blink Stalkers, but that was pretty much it. I feel like Nestea could have taken a few more expansions too. He basically just fell to the superior army composition and the superior attack upgrades of Yong. I mean, Blink Stalkers and Colossi Immortal, it's an incredibly powerful composition. You can see that Yong never really had sentries except for at the beginning, and Nestea didn't attack more when he had that huge advantage. Plus that battle at Yong's third, where Nestea pushed in with a whole lot of Roach Hydra, and he got caught in that bad position, and the Colossi were never taken care of. Those Colossi were racking up the kills, splash damage on splash damage upon splash damage, to the point where Yong, it was actually, thinking back, it's probably better that his Zealots were caught up in the back. So there's a lot of cool little dynamics about this game, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Bisu Tenchi for sending me this game. I've definitely enjoyed casting it. It was a very nice, simple, straightforward, high-level macro game that I really enjoyed. That Void Race switch, double Void Race, I was not expecting that. I was expecting double Phoenixes straight out of the bat. So that was a really cool game. Thank you guys, hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to subscribe, see more, send me replays of games you want casted, even if it's just of you. I'd be happy to do that for you. And just enjoy, and good luck in your future games. Thank you.